At the end of the movie, you find out it opens the...
Now you're gonna have to finish this one.
I was going to say dildo drawer.
Welcome to SinCast, presented by Cinemasins.
All right, everybody, welcome to the SinCast. This is Chris Atkinson from Cinemasins, joined as always by the voice of Cinemasins, Jeremy Scott.
Hey-o.
And from Music Video Sins, Barrett Share.
Hey-o.
That's the only way you could do that. You have to answer it.
Yeah. You can't have an unrequited AO.
Yeah, exactly. That's not how that works.
Does Freddie Mercury in Bohemian Rhapsody, does he answer the sick patient dude that does the AO? Does he say AO? When he's walking down in the clinic?
I thought that was the only place that happened in the movie where it got echoed back. I mean, other than the first time.
So he actually responds to him.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm never going to watch that.
I
movie
hate
again.
that movie so much.
Yeah, I don't even remember that part, so I can't even tell you if he returned it or not. We cut off part one of Tom Hanks' filmography last time, and
We circumcised it.
we did, and we're going into part two. The latter day 2000 to present Hanks is not nearly as accomplished, but there are some movies in here.
There are
Yeah.
some good ones.
So it'll be interesting to see which ones we think are good, and which ones we think are
Yeah.
whatever. But we start off that we're still sort of in the good part of his career, though. Band of Brothers, which I know that Jeremy saw. I have not seen.
Oh.
Is he a character in that, or is he the narrator?
He is neither.
Oh, yeah?
He's just a producer.
He and Spielberg merely produced it.
Oh, okay.
Now, everyone else under the fucking sun is in this. From Professor
He
X.
apparently was in it.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, where is he?
He's a British officer, so probably just a random role.
Yeah, I don't remember that at all.
It's funny,
Because I'm
he's
so
British.
fixated on Colonel Winters and Ron Livingston and
Colonel Winters?
Colonel Winters, redhead, Damian Lewis.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
He's Lieutenant Winters, and he's Winters.
Uh-huh.
Winters.
Mm-hmm.
But also James McAvoy is in it.
Ah.
Tom Hardy is in it.
God damn.
Fucking Eric. No.
Michael Fassbender?
Yes, Fassbender's in it. David Schwimmer. Late night Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon is in this?
Yeah, he drives up at one
Yeah,
point in a
but
van or in an
see,
army jeep.
Scott Grimes. Let's see, Donnie Wahlberg.
Donnie Wahlberg's important.
Donnie Dubs.
Oh yeah, Michael Cudlitz, who's in Grosse Point Blank,
Yep.
is in it.
Is this
He's Bull.
Is this World War II thing?
Yes,
Because it
it's,
came on the heels of Saving Private Ryan, right?
It did. Saving Private Ryan scratched some kind of itch for him and Spielberg, and they made Band of Brothers after, based on a book, very good book. I have accidentally 2 copies of it, which is like the way I buy Blu-rays nowadays. And it follows the 101st Airborne, basically from training camp all the way to the end of the war. And there's 11 or 12 episodes. I'm not sure there's a piece of entertainment I could recommend higher than Band of Brothers.
Wow.
Ooh, Simon Pegg's in it.
So this is a miniseries, right? HBO miniseries?
HBO miniseries.
6 parts or so?
No, 11 or 12.
Oh, really?
Yeah. All the way to... all the way to the end of the war.
Yeah, it says here
VE
10
Day.
episodes.
10 episodes. And there's some really good shit. There's 2 whole episodes in the middle in the winter where they're at this edge of the woods, and then there's a huge clearing, and the Germans are at the other edge of the woods.
Oh,
and
shit.
they're there for a year. They're there for fucking forever.
Wow.
Just getting shot at and digging new foxholes, and they have to hold the line. They can't. Oh god, such good stuff.
Okay, I
Brutal.
gotta check it out.
I did see that one episode where the dude ran across the enemy lines and
Colonel Spears.
Yeah,
He's
I
a
did
crazy
see that
person.
one.
You've seen this more than once?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
I probably watch it annually. They run it military themed holidays. They'll rerun it. I watch it every time I see it's on.
All right.
But these are all real stories. It's not a fictionalized account, and each episode opens and closes with real interviews with these the real people that you see in the show. And then the very last episode is where you find out which old man was which guy in the show. It's powerful stuff.
All right. I'm sold.
Yeah. Then Road to Perdition. We've talked about Road to Perdition a bunch.
Yeah.
Baby.
Sam Mendes' follow-up after American Beauty didn't get the recognition that it deserved at the time, but I think it has since.
I think it has, at least among film buffs and critics.
Mm-hmm.
I think average Joe moviegoer probably still hasn't seen this movie.
It's got a titling issue too, and of course it is the book. It is the graphic novel, but like Road to Perdition isn't something that's going to light a fire in your balls
It's
or anything.
better than Only the Brave, but it's not as good as Tom Hanks with a Tommy gun.
Yeah. They should call it Tommy Gun.
Isn't it a Tommy gun?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's one of the first times he's playing a bad guy, but he's not really playing a bad guy in this.
This is about as bad as he gets, though.
Yeah.
So he straight up murders that, several people, but like the turning point, because you've heard about all the bad shit that he's done, but then the turning point is when he goes up to the banker, and the banker is not scared at all. He's like, "The fuck are you gonna do with me? Like I'm connected to everything." Blast that motherfucker, and you're like, "Whoa!"
And he says, "Send a message."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But Road to Perdition's great. I know that we've talked about it a bunch, especially during our comic book brackets and everything. Next one, Catch Me If You Can, another good one. This is him re-teaming with Spielberg. Yes. It's one of John Williams' best scores that we don't talk about is in this. Leonardo DiCaprio plays Frank Abagnale, a guy who basically has the ability to either talk his way through a situation and like totally con people into thinking he is this person that he's represented to be. And he's like, his main thing is like forging checks, where it looks just perfect enough to where he's like getting money from. Is it the airline that he's doing this from at first?
He's forging Piedmont. Is it Piedmont? Pan Am checks.
Pan Am, yeah.
And he's actually, there's this awesome scene where he's bought all these little toy Pan Am planes and soaking them in the tub so they can peel the sticker off and put it on the check. But he's got other tricks beyond just that.
Yeah.
And I do think it goes beyond Pan Am eventually to more just generic check fraud. Mm-hmm. And this is a real person. This is largely based on a true story. Mm-hmm. And this is a movie I point to when I complain that a movie like Can You Ever Forgive Me is all about a bad person doing terrible things. A movie like Catch Me If You Can both shows why he got that way. Mm-hmm. He's not actually a bad person. He comes from a terribly broken home, a delusional father, and a little bit of a promiscuous mother. And he had to adult quick. Mm-hmm. And you also see his sort of comeuppance and dealing with, he's in jail for a bunch of years. And then he gets out and gets to help try and catch other forgers and whatnot. But God, this movie is perfect. There's not a thing. There's not a hair out of place in this movie at all.
Jeez, that first scene that Hanks and DiCaprio share in the apartment where he's like, I got to go get my wallet and stuff like that is just classic. It's because he doesn't know anything about this guy, and he pulls off this ruse on an experienced investigator. Pulls off this ruse perfectly. Oh my God, it's so good.
Yeah, there are a lot of scams in this. I mean, he even passes the bar in Louisiana.
He becomes the head of the ER of the overnight.
Although the one where his only experience of doctoring is watching TV shows. So like everything is, do you concur? And there's a whole point where this dude, he's like doing this night shift and the doctors come in and they want his advice and everything. What would you do? And the guy's like, well, I would do this and this. And he'd turn to the other, do you concur? And he's like, I don't know or whatever. And then he's like, well, let's just do what that guy says. And then the guy who's got way more medical experience, obviously, than Abagnale does, he's like, I should have concurred.
I love when Abagnale arrives on the scene. he's acting all businesslike, and he looks down, and it's like a guy with like a leg broken in 3 places, and there's blood pouring out, and he like puts this like some kind of tong gauze thing right up to his mouth, like, and the 14-year-old in him comes out like, oh god, this is the grossest shit I've ever seen.
That movie is so good, and DiCaprio had a good little 1-2 punch there, because I believe Catch Me If You Can and Gangs of New York came out in the same month, because Gangs, I think, had been pushed back, or one of those movies got pushed back to a point where it was both of those movies came out. That's
crazy. I was just about to make a joke that they even let him keep his Gangs of New York hairstyle for one scene of Catch Me If You Can.
I remember that
scene in like Italy or wherever, France or wherever, where he's got like long, like, you know.
Well, it's funny because this movie portrays him as a very young con artist. Basically, he's in his teens when he first starts this, right? Yeah. And then Gangs of New York is supposedly like his transition into adulthood. He's got the little wispy goatee and all that stuff. But
But I do love Hanks in this. He's the guy. He's obviously the only one who's dedicated enough to go find him. And in fact, there's even a point where don't they tell him to just get off the case at one point?
Well, they make fun of him because he's showing slides, and all the other investigators are laughing about, like, this is not real crime. So he's kind of made fun of in the office. I don't think they tell him to get off the case. It's just that nobody else cares.
Yeah, there's a point where Abagnale's finally been caught, and there's they're getting him to work with them to find forgeries and everything, and like there's this one check. It's towards the end. He's like, I can't figure out what this guy's doing or whatever. And he gives it to Abagnale. He's like, Abagnale's like, oh, this is a fake. And he's like, why? Well, you see, there's no perforations on the side. Remember, when you get your check, you tear it off, blah, blah, blah. And there's nothing like that on it. And there's a funny line that just occurred to me. This has nothing to do with Hanks or anything, but there's that one where all the people are trying to be stewardesses and everything. They're trying out, and there's that one girl who says, "We'll be flying at 35,000 miles an hour at 700 feet."
I just love because when it cuts from there, it's him walking to the airport with like 6 girls on both arms, and he's doing all of that as a distraction because he knows they're looking for him.
Right.
That's the time where they were looking for him.
He hires women who are specifically tall enough so that he can hide amongst them and everything. Gotta love that movie. I'm gonna have to watch that again.
I was just gonna say that. I gotta watch that.
This is I did watch the scene. This is a weird convergence of our Elizabeth Banks and Tom Hanks rundowns because she's in it briefly, and I did watch the scene that she was in, and it's a crucial scene actually. It's where he finds out how to do check forgery because he's going down the line, and he finally sees the one woman who looks like she would be amenable to his advances, and she's cute and that kind of thing, and it says Miss and not Mrs. and all that stuff. So he finally comes up, he says, I want to cash this check and I want to buy you dinner. And that's when she makes that sound, whatever it is. But then the next scene, it cuts to where they're in the back, and she's explaining like how checks work and where that is. And he's like, I can't see, where is it? And she holds the check up and she points right there. And then when he points, she removes it into her boob, and she's like, It's very much like the scene, the darkroom scene in The Master, where Joaquin Phoenix does that whole thing, like, it's your boobie.
Yeah.
It's in The Master.
I never saw this as a documentary series called Freedom, A History of Us. I guess he was a producer on that.
Yes.
Do you know what it was about?
Mm-mm.
They made never mind.
That'll be the third time today.
Just backing out of all my jokes today. It's probably good. I'm saving you effort. You don't have to cut it later.
16 episode miniseries of the history of America.
There you go.
All right.
Okay, then The Lady Killers. That's his first Coen Brothers movie.
You know what? I need to give this another shot.
Okay.
Because I finally rewatched Inside Llewyn Davis. I think I love that movie now.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And I'm finding that, and I also rewatched The Hudsucker Proxy, which I'd never been as high on as you guys had. That movie's fucking brilliant. So, I think Coen Brothers films just deserve more time and attention.
I think so.
They play the hell out of The Lady Killers on HBO. I've seen parts of it, and I'm one of the only apologist for that movie. It is, and some people probably compared it to the original. I've seen the original that had Alec Guinness in it. I like this, but it could be one of those things where people are just hung up on that it's not the typical Coen Brothers fare for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a little bit raunchier than most Coen Brothers movies.
Yeah.
Hanks this is one of his best performances, unfortunately, because a lot of people don't even recognize that. He's doing this thing where he's got all these $1 million words that he says all the way through it. And he's like, I believe that we need to, get inside your basement and all this. He's got this way of talking and everything. But, yeah, it's just about a bunch of crooks who live in this woman's basement, and they hatch a robbery scheme. And as the movie goes on, each of their crew members start dying one by one throughout the whole thing. And if there's anything Coen Brothers about it, it's how they keep showing how the bodies get thrown onto the barge. They keep going under the bridge and everything. It's a very Coen Brothers thing. Like if you didn't know who directed it, those scenes would make But yeah, I mean it's a little bit. A bit off from a typical Coen Brothers movie, and I think that's sort of what it is. And I like it. It's not they're one of their best, and I think that's what
your $1 million word thing. I've been watching The Nice Guys a lot lately. It's just come on Stars or something. And I love when they introduce Russell Crowe's character, and he's got a word of the day, and it's equanimity. And he's like calmness, exuding calmness or whatever. And then he says he accepted her betrayal with equanimity. And then it cuts to the past, and they're at dinner, and his wife just goes, "I'm fucking your dad." He like spits out his water, whatever. He cuts back to the present day. Oh, I'm going to watch that movie again, too. Oh, man, so
Who
good.
directed that one? Do you know?
It was
Shane Black.
Shane Black, that's right.
But yeah, well, I like The Lady Killers. There's not much to say about it other than you're either going to love it or hate it, and it's that type of movie. Like for instance, here's something. Here's a thing that just doesn't seem very Coen Brothers. J.K. Simmons has one of those digestive diseases of some sort or whatever, and he's like farting a lot in it. It's one of those where the Coens decided to really just kind of get in the muck with their comedy and everything. Still though, it's then this is his third movie with Spielberg, The Terminal. Yeah,
you guys don't like this movie, right?
I haven't seen it I haven't seen it since it came out.
I like this movie.
Yeah.
There's nothing that happens. Nothing happens.
No.
It's nothing happens.
No.
It's just him stranded in an airport with Catherine Zeta-Jones looking pretty.
Well, and if I remember right, this is loosely based on some true story of some guy who fell through a bureaucratic crack and got stuck in an airport for like 30 days or whatever. Yeah, it's so contrived. I don't want.
What do you mean contrived? It's based on a true story. How can it be contrived? I'm just saying, like, I'm just saying that Spielberg takes a very simple story and to me makes it it makes it very entertaining. I think what really resonates with me is that Hanks's character is like just impervious to badness. Like he's got such a great attitude the whole time. And it's fun to watch.
It's interesting, too, when you add this into his, the filmography. It's easy to think of Hanks as playing himself a lot because there are a lot of characters where he's playing like what he is in Sleepless in Seattle or whatever. But he has a lot of these like this and Lady Killers and Philadelphia. He actually shows some range there. He's not just Hanks all the time.
Yep.
So... that's what this. If there's anything that I can say for this movie, it's that.
Yeah, he's got a nice accent. He's from a fictitious Eastern European country.
I just remember like being like, that was all right. And you expect more with Spielberg.
Yeah.
Elvis Has Left the Building. I do not know this one at all.
I don't know this one either.
Then he teams with Zemeckis to do the Polar Express.
Yeah.
He's not the main guy really in this, but he does do the facial recognition stuff for all the characters.
For most of them. I think he even did for the kid.
Yeah, I think even the kids, he's doing the mocap stuff.
Yeah, he said hero boy's father, conductor, hobo, Scrooge puppet, Santa Claus, and the narrator.
Yeah, this was I believe it's the Caldecott award-winning book from Chris Van Allsburg, who did Jumanji.
Mm-hmm.
And sort of it's one of those that I held in high regard because I read that as a kid, and the illustrations are so great. The illustrations in the Chris Van Allsburg thing are better than the animation that's in this movie. I feel like there's not really anything in that movie that makes you go, boy, that's breathtaking. And of course, the one of the things that came out about that movie was that everybody looked so weird in the mocap, and it was kind of scary, and and all that, and so like, and you're turning basically a picture book that's 20 pages into this big hour and a half movie, and it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything bad about it, really. It's just that, except for the Aerosmith shit.
What the fuck was up with that?
Decidedly bad.
Yeah.
Well, it's the elves all get together and sing Aerosmith at the end, right?
Yeah.
It was weird, man. Drugs might have been involved.
There might have been some drugs involved.
Fucking Aerosmith.
I could see the meeting now. How do we end this fucking thing? I know. Aerosmith.
Yeah.
Get me Steven Tyler.
Then we get to the Da Vinci Code.
Boy, oh boy.
Did you ever read these?
I did. I read the first Da Vinci Code. I didn't read anything after that. The Dan Brown. This was a bestseller for a year and a half or something,
if not longer.
Yeah,
man. It was a big ass deal.
Yeah, huge book. Now, much like I don't remember what podcast I was talking about this on, but how you talk about when you talk about Phantom of the Opera or something like that. We don't watch a ton of plays. You watch Phantom of the Opera, boy, that seemed like a good play to me, good musical to me. Whereas the snobs who've seen 100 of them have been like, this is a piece of shit. Books are the same way in some ways. I've read way more books than I've seen plays. I didn't think there was anything wrong with the reading of Da Vinci Code. I thought it was exactly what he wanted to write. It wasn't supposed to be, fucking Steinbeck or something like that. But I enjoyed the book. Now the movie, I did not enjoy that much.
Do you know why?
I don't.
I think I know why, because the movie
Hairpiece
is fairly the hairpiece. Yeah, that's distracting right there.
Yeah.
The movie is pretty close to the book.
Yeah.
It leaves out some I think super salacious details and stuff like that. It was this one where the woman's grandparents had an orgy every month or something like that for rich people and shit like that. And I think they cut that out of the movie. The movie's long too.
Yeah,
the movie's 2.5 hours.
Another Ron
that.
Howard, by the way.
I think it's the chemistry. There's zero chemistry whatsoever between Tom Hanks and
Tattoo.
Audrey Tattoo. Yeah. And I don't know how that's possible because they're both such endearing actors.
Maybe it's that the material they're working with is kind of boring.
I don't say what you want about the Da Vinci Code. I didn't think any of it was boring. The movie has stretches where they're expositing and they're just talky, which is in the book. You can forgive a little bit because it's text.
I don't know. I'm more willing to believe there's a treasure map on the back of the Declaration of Independence than I am there's some kind of code in the Bible.
Well, I mean, you think about all the things this dude at the Louvre has to do
as he's dying
to make sure that some sort of symbologist figures it out,
which is not a real job.
Yeah, not a real job. I believe he gets shot and then he makes sure that he dies a certain way, and then he's pointing a certain way.
It's like Mr. Burns.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And with his last breath, he pointed to W and S, which turned around. It's Maggie Simpson.
I did want to say, do you remember the ripoff of this movie with Casper Van Dien called the Omega Code?
Oh, I do remember that coming out. I don't know if I saw it though.
I'm pretty sure I built it and watched that motherfucker.
Oh yeah.
Maybe that was after my years. I know I watched.
Does he have a hair hat? Does he have the
thing? Yeah, they didn't copy everything.
That would be hilarious.
The prequel was Angels and Demons. I did actually read this book. I forgot that I read that.
Yep.
And the prequel is him going to the Vatican.
Yep.
Ewan McGregor plays the Pope doesn't play the Pope, but plays a
the Pope and
wannabe.
Wayne. Yeah. If you thought the Da Vinci Code was absurd,
There's
this
a third
story
one, though,
is
right?
fucking absurd. Yeah.
There's a third one that comes after this?
Mhm.
Oh, Jesus. How did they make a third one after that second one was so long?
that was called Inferno. Yeah.
Inferno.
Angels and Demons is such a ludicrous premise. I enjoy watching this one more than I do the Da Vinci Code.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know why. I think it's just I think Ewan McGregor's really good. There's like a nice twist reveal, even though it's absurdly done.
Yeah, and plus reading the book, I knew I knew it was coming because of the way I don't even remember if it's in the movie, but there's a big absurd scene where he's in a helicopter or something, and he parachutes out and he makes this big announcement and it's a very liberal announcement, and I'm like, this is not what popes say or people who want to be popes say.
Well, exactly, because I mean, I think what he's doing in the book and in the movie is that he's performing a miracle which would allow him to be papal, to be elected the young pope. But it's just so absurdly done, and when he delivers the message, you're like, what the fuck? But Hanks has zero chemistry with his co-star in this one too. Ayelet Zurer, are you familiar with her?
Is she the one who plays Superman's mom?
That's Diane Lane.
No, the real mom. I don't mean to be pejorative about that. I'm just saying that the biological mom.
Man of Steel, yeah.
Yeah, she's in Man of Steel.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's who she is.
Yeah.
Real mom.
Well,
I meant biological mom.
the one in the
the one that did the work.
She did all the work.
The one that kicked it all off.
Yeah, she was the one who's at the window when the planet explodes. By the way, that Omega Code, I was like, that sounds like older than Da Vinci Code, and it is.
Is it really?
99.
Oh my God! I just remember there was a lot of Bible code stuff going on back in that time.
Yeah,
and
Bible code.
I think maybe the Da Vinci Code was a book by then. But
it
not a
been.
movie.
I don't know.
And they tried to beat him to the. But of course, if you cast Casper Van Dien, you're not going to beat anybody to the box office.
Probably not. Then yes, he has a voice cameo in the Simpsons movie. Where they're planning on bombing the dome that Springfield's around, and they want to make it to where like nobody remembers or knows that it's there, essentially, and like they have a commercial that they make, and they're trying to make it they're trying to sell this. What are they trying to do with the land after they bomb it or whatever? Is that what they were trying to do?
Doesn't even say like where nothing is or ever was.
Well, yeah, I was getting to that, but like there's a commercial to get people to be interested in coming to the spot. And you can even see like people with a GPS where it's like now headed towards nowhere. and then Hanks comes on there and he's like, this is great. It's in a place where nothing is or ever was or something like that. And I don't remember. He does that whole, he's like the commercials narrator essentially. Charlie Wilson's War. This is him and Mike Nichols movie. This is really good.
Movie's outstanding.
This has, I believe, Sorkin wrote the screenplay.
Yeah.
It feels like an episode of West Wing, only not
Very
focusing
much.
on the White House.
Yeah.
This one, he's great as Charlie Wilson, but I think Philip Seymour Hoffman steals this movie.
He does.
He's got a moment where I think it's the first moment Philip Seymour Hoffman shows up. His big speech and everything is what just completely just takes that.
And the Texas woman, who is that? Is it Faye Dunaway?
Julia Roberts.
Oh, it's Julia Roberts.
Yeah, because he the first time that Hanks goes down there, or Charlie Wilson goes down there to a fundraiser, she's having this huge gala, like she's everything's going on, and they stop in the middle of that party to fuck. Twice.
Wow.
And like he's hanging out there and like taking a bath afterwards and drinking whiskey and everything.
Again.
This movie is so good. I saw it just recently, and I forgot how spectacular it is.
I just remember
all the performances are
there's
great.
one very Frasier-esque scene where like Philip Seymour Hoffman is trying to talk to him, but he keeps having to shoo him out of the office to take a phone call. And then he calls him back in, but then there's another phone call, and it just keeps going like a slamming door thing.
It's a perfect sequence because he's getting investigated for being at like a coke-filled orgy or something like that. And so his girls, that's what he calls his staff. His girls come in. They're like, okay, this guy's got a quote, and this guy actually saw it. He's like, okay, all right, go prepare a statement. And then Philip Seymour Hoffman comes back in. He talks to him for a second about Russia, and then he's like, no, hold on. They come back in and all that stuff. And by the end of it, Philip Seymour Hoffman says something like, so are you going to admit to it or not? And he's like, how did you hear that? Were you standing by the door? He starts like yelling at him. He's like, no, I bugged the whiskey that I gave you.
yeah.
He's like, I'm a fucking CIA. What the fuck are you talking about, man?
Yeah. If I am remembering this correctly, the thing that Charlie Wilson does in here, like, morally is just
correct,
but ethically he's circumventing Congress.
Yes.
He is not, because Congress won't give him the money that he needs for this. So that's why he goes out and does these like fundraisers and things like that so that he can fund this war that's going on. And it is a noble cause, but it's one of those where you've drawn a line between your morals and ethics.
Yeah, he's getting the money from Congress, but he keeps underestimating how much he's going to ask for.
Oh, okay. So Congress is giving him money.
He needs the votes.
Okay.
So that's what he's whipping up basically, and to do that, he's got to keep going over to the Middle East and everything to say, put helicopters in the sky. Why can't they shoot the helicopters out of the sky? And by doing this, not only is he circumventing legal process and everything, but he's also arming the Mujahideen. Which, as we know, it was helping them at the time defeat Russia, but this is including Osama bin Laden at the time. Exactly. And Philip Seymour Hoffman at the very end, it's not a spoiler or anything, at the very end has this great parable. He's like, what did the Zen master say to the student or whatever? And he's like, well, the student comes in and he's like, I did this today. And he's like, well, that's great. Wait until tomorrow. And then the student says, I bought a car. All right, well, that's great. Wait until tomorrow. And then that's the way the thing ends. Mm-hmm. He's like, well, we just armed the Mujahideen. He said, well, that's great. Wait until tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And that's how it ends, which is a great portentous thing.
Yeah.
This movie's fucking awesome.
I thought Julia Roberts was in the one where he goes back to school.
That's Larry Crown. She is in that.
Oh, okay. God, I'm getting those two movies confused. They both have a person's name in them, too. That's not helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie Crown and Larry Wilson.
Yeah, exactly. I never saw The Great Buck Howard. Did you ever see The Great Buck Howard?
No, I've never seen this. It's got a really good... Oh, this is Colin Hanks.
Mm-hmm.
Malkovich, Colin Hanks, Emily Blunt, Ricky Jay, Tom Hanks, Griffin Dunn, Adam Scott, Wallace Langham. Like, there's a Don Most...
Donnie Most
from Happy Days.
That's awesome.
So yeah, actually, this seems interesting. I've just never ever encountered
I remember seeing the title, but I just never have been able to see it. We've talked about Angels and Demons. He was a producer on The Pacific. Did you see The Pacific?
Yes. Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
That's
if
what I
you
hear.
watched The Pacific before you watched Band of Brothers, you would think that was the pinnacle. It's just not as good as Band of Brothers.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
This is about is it World War II, just the Pacific?
It's trying to do the same thing and follow, mostly one soldier in this one, more than the whole airborne whatever. But it's, what we did for Band of Brothers in the European theater, we're going to do for the Pacific theater, Midway Island, all that stuff.
All I've ever heard, and I've got a friend of mine that was in two branches of the military, he said this is the most realistic portrayal of military operations that he's ever seen.
Yeah.
He said it was awesome, too.
Yeah, they're both great. Everybody should watch both of those miniseries.
Yeah.
Then, yes, he gets behind the camera again for Larry Crown. He's also one of the main stars with Julia Roberts. I haven't seen this since it came out, so the only thing that I remember was him going back to school. So
and I've never even seen it, so I don't even know why I remember it's him going back to school.
This has got your girl in it, Gugu and Mbatha-Raw.
Yep. That's where it was one of the first times I ever saw her, I believe.
It's got a lot. That's another good cast, man. You get Vilmer Valderrama. You get Pam Grier, Cedric the Entertainer, Taraji P. Henson.
Wait a minute.
Bryan Cranston.
Wait, until you got to Taraji P. Henson there, you were on shaky ground.
Pam Grier.
Pam Grier, okay.
Yeah. And then you got Bryan Cranston, you got Rami Malek, you got George Takei. Good stuff.
Yeah. Here's a movie I never saw. It was nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards, notoriously so. Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close.
Oh, I never saw this one either.
This was a 9/11, post 9/11 drama.
Yeah.
I believe he plays someone who died in the buildings or something like that.
Oh.
I've seen, except for the Charlie Sheen one, I've seen most of the 9/11 movies.
Charlie Sheen one with the 20-year-old sugar mummy, sugar baby.
I've never seen this one. I've seen just about all the other ones.
Oh, God, the Oliver Stone one is the worst.
The World Trade Center?
Yeah,
it is. Well, if you haven't seen the Charlie Sheen one, I guess it's the worst.
Well, okay, and I haven't seen this one, but that felt like not even a movie. That just felt like misery on celluloid.
It really did. And I mean, you don't want to jazz up a movie like this, but like United 93 was just such a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
So well done. And you don't really want to watch it for escapist entertainment or anything like that.
No.
And the same thing with World Trade Center. I didn't hate it like you're saying, but like you're right. He certainly didn't.
I might have said this before. I bought that fucker for $2 in a video store going out of business sale, and I was still disappointed with the movie. That says something, right? $2.
It just felt too dour for you.
I bought that, and I bought that Harrison Ford hacking movie. Firewall. I bought them both for $2. It was like a Hollywood video going out of business.
Bad run.
Yeah,
no, it's bad. It's a bad $4.
I remember. Yeah, I've seen World Trade Center once. Now it's one of those movies that's got a lot of those actors where you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like Michael Shannon shows up at the end of it. I think it's John Bernthal shows up in this movie. There's a lot of those things. I can't remember exactly. Couldn't put my finger on why I didn't like this movie that much.
I think for me it was that literally half of it takes place in pitch black dark where Nicolas Cage is slowly dying.
True. Yeah.
And that's not fun.
Well, and then you have his like family you have the family drama that's going on. But yeah, I've only seen it the one time. I can't remember why it was. I mean, I thought it was okay too. I don't think I hated it as much as, but yeah, I don't know.
I think we can just stop making movies about 9/11. There's so much footage. The special that runs on Discovery, I think, every year, is spectacular for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we need.
No. Yeah, we've heard pretty much all the stories at this point, unless somebody's just find something out of nowhere that we didn't.
We've even had plenty of these tangential, like Adam Sandler did one that was kind of like half related to 9/11.
Yeah, that was Rain Over Me.
And then 25th Hour has like a bunch of 9/11 shit in it.
Yeah, although that one's more referential than it is like part of the movie. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. But yeah, I never saw Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. It's,
so let's talk about World Trade Center.
Well, it certainly has the opposite problem of the titling issue. Like this is too much.
Yeah. But yeah, the story is, I guess it's his dad, who's Tom Hanks, I believe, leaves a key, and it's a mysterious key, and he's got to figure out what it opens. And I never saw it. It got nominated for Best Picture, and like everybody who saw it was like, "What the fuck?"
At the end of the movie, you find out it opens the.
Now you're gonna have to finish this one.
I was gonna say dildo drawer.
Not nearly as important as you think. I know we put 9/11 into it and everything. You think that key would mean something? It doesn't.
That would be hilarious. Dad sure had a lot of dildos.
Just ends with him sorting through.
just has piles of dildos in the bedroom. What are these? Is there something inside this?
He's holding it.
He's shaking it.
Oh Christ!
Oh my God!
Oh Jesus!
On to a movie that won't be controversial at all. Cloud Atlas.
Oh.
There are people who love this movie, and there are people who were confounded by it, like I was. And
I think if you love or hate it, you're wrong. I feel like the only way to appreciate this movie is to love-hate it. Sorry, I'm still recovering. There are parts that are fucking. First of all, it's shot amazing.
Yeah.
all that stuff with the big ship in the water, the tall ship, the Tom Hanks tooth-stealing bastard. It's gorgeous. It's fucking gorgeous. I think what confounds this movie the most is casting all your actors in 5 different roles.
Yeah.
And I don't know the book well enough to know if there's a reason they did that, but almost every single one of them has at least one role, like Jim Broadbent in future Tokyo whatever, looks fake as shit. Tom Hanks in at least one or two of his, like in his John Travolta looking, looks dumb as hell.
Yeah.
Did I say Jim Broadbent?
Yes.
I didn't mean Jim Broadbent.
Well, he's in it.
Yeah, I meant the younger Jim.
Oh, Jim Sturgis?
Jim Sturgis. But Jim Broadbent is the one that that's the storyline I really, really like, where his family finds out he's got some money, so they put him into a home against his will, and he keeps trying to sneak out. The Halle Berry ones, Dower. I'm just saying, there's stuff to like in here.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks, speaking the true, is not one of them.
Speaking the true.
Yeah.
This is a very different role for him. Well, all of them are very different roles for him. He's never been in, you could call this a period piece because there's some in the past and some in the future, right?
I haven't seen this since it came out, and I remember somebody at the theater saying this is going to be looked upon like Blade Runner when it's in the like later on when we've had a time to reflect on it. It's got a 7.4 on the IMDb.
It might be.
That's insane.
It actually might be.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Back when he said that, I did not think it was like crazy for him to say that because it did feel like that kind of movie.
Yeah, it's ambitious as hell, going for something.
Yeah, I just haven't seen it in forever. The Wachowskis did this with Tom. I always this name is it's Tickwer, I think, but it might be Twiker or something like that. One of those weird
Tweaker. It's Tweaker.
It's Tweaker. But yeah, there's so much stuff going on all at once, and so many stories that are just like, okay, I think I get that one. I'm not sure if I get any of those other ones or like.
Yeah, I mean, it would benefit on multiple viewings, but you've seen it, Jeremy, like a few times, right? And
I've watched it straight through 3 times, and I have felt the same exact way every single time.
So maybe that's what they were going for.
And
if that's the case, then
yeah, it's just a movie I'll have to give another chance someday. Captain Phillips.
Now here's a movie I only saw once.
You only need to, right?
There are 2 moments in this movie that I think are fucking awesome. When they time that sniper shot with the waves bouncing the boat and Tom Hanks being rescued at the end, going through every single human emotion in 30 seconds. Other than that, I feel like I remember it being kind of long and a little boring. Like, he gets taken off the big boat and put in that little boat like an hour into the movie.
Yeah.
And he's on that little boat for like another hour.
Yeah, it takes forever on that little boat. Yeah.
And, I like, God, tell me the director.
Oh, it's Paul Greengrass.
I like Paul Greengrass. He's got more hits than misses for me. Tom Hanks is great. I like the idea of the true story. But yeah, I have not felt the need to go back to this movie even one time. That's weird.
I found that I've only seen it once too, but I found it super intense for a long time. And yes, the getting on the small boat part is where it feels like it goes down. I like everything leading up to it. The taking over of the ship and I am the captain now and all that stuff's great. And then yes, he's on that one part. Like you're just like, there's nothing exciting at that point once that happens.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the balance, it feels like.
Yeah,
it just feels like he's going to get rescued, so there's not anything tense about it or anything. So I don't know, I haven't seen it in forever.
He's got a good accent in this movie. He's
You
playing
think?
like a New England type of accent,
like a Delaware New England.
Yeah, it's a Delawarean New England accent.
That's right.
No, it's pretty good. And apparently he spent a lot of time with the actual dude, Captain Phillips.
Who some of that guy's coworkers said wasn't the nicest guy or the most super heroic guy.
Oh, yeah.
It could have just been another studio trying to tarnish the film with awards season or something. It was just, scuttlebutt. I used the word correctly.
Yes, you did.
Don't look at me like that.
Yes, you did.
Equanimity.
Saving Mr. Banks.
This
is one of your typical average everyday biopic type movies. He plays Walt Disney in this one. and it's about the making of
Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins. Yeah, it's perfectly fine.
I have never seen this movie because it looks like outrageously sweet tea to me, and I hate sweet tea.
It's exactly that.
Yes.
I mean, it's like I said, it's perfectly fine. It's not one of those things where I'd be like, yeah, go watch this immediately. But if you said, I'm going to watch Saving Mr. Banks, I wouldn't stop you.
So this is him trying to get the rights to Mary Poppins from the
Yes,
author?
because whoever the author was.
Yeah.
Mary J. Blige.
Mary J. Blige.
P.L. Travers is the Emma Thompson
That
character.
was close.
Did you say Mary J. Blige?
Was notoriously difficult to get to sign away her story because it was so personal to her. This is something that actually happened to her, or based on
Without the magic.
without the umbrellas flying shit. But Emma Thompson plays P.L. Travers in this, and so the whole thing is them trying to convince her this is what the kind of movie we're doing and everything, and she's not on board with it at first, but then she gets won over, of course, because we wouldn't have seen Mary Poppins if she wasn't.
Yeah. Spoiler. Fucking yeah.
Has Tom Hanks made more movies than anyone where the ending is known before you watch it?
Maybe so. Yeah. Apollo 13.
He's done a lot.
Well, and Sully, we're going to get to in a minute.
Yeah, he's done a lot of these biopic movies.
Like the Captain Phillips, you knew he was going to get out. He does that a
In
lot.
Philadelphia, you know he's going to die.
This is why I've been walking away from jokes all day. It's because I didn't want to be the one to make that kind of joke. And you didn't even hesitate. You just walked right into that.
Oh, goodness gracious.
That was wrong and awesome.
Anyway, I don't think you should allow Disney to make a movie about Walt Disney. You're going to get super schmaltz and super...
That's another guy who, all these guys have...
Oh, yeah, dude. I got some beef with Walt Disney.
Guy.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas Jefferson was not the... Well, we can go on and on.
Yes. He was in that Carly Rae Jepsen video, I Really Like You.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's such a good video. It's just him getting in a car and driving somewhere and then getting out and doing a little dance. But it's adorable.
Has one of the biggest fan bases for somebody that seems to never get played on the radio.
Yeah, I know.
Call Me Maybe was on the radio.
Yep.
Nothing since.
Now,
But
this one was on for a while.
huge ass following.
Mm-hmm. Especially with LGBT, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does good stuff.
Yeah,
she does
good for
good stuff. I really, really like her stuff.
Yeah.
But he's singing along, he's lip syncing to it and everything, and it is adorable.
Then Bridge of Spies. This is a movie that a lot of people are. It's kind of, I don't know. They either don't like it or don't like it as much as they feel like they should. It is. The pedigree on this movie, Spielberg directing, Coen brothers writing, you feel like you're going to get something just awesome, and it's perfectly okay.
Yeah.
The main star of this is Mark Rylance.
Yeah.
He wins the Oscar for this.
Beating out Sly.
Yeah. Everybody thought Sly was going to win.
People were upset about that.
But Rylance is better.
He's so fucking good.
Yeah.
He's great in this, and he's great in Dunkirk. He is just...
He's had a long career.
Yeah, and I can't really remember a whole lot of things that he's been in, except for those two movies. He's spectacular.
Well, speaking of the Incestopedia,
Ooh.
he was in a movie called Angels and Insects.
I saw this movie.
Yeah, it's got incest in it.
Was that from the 90s?
Yeah, 90s.
It's called Angels and Insects.
Yes.
But there's incest.
Yes. And that they eventually rearranged the letters, right?
Oh.
But there's also one of them's an insectologist or whatever the fuck you call those bug people. There's a girl in this movie that I was in love with.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. Is it Patsy Kensit?
Yes, Patsy Kensit. She
was
also
in Lethal Weapon 2.
Yeah, his dead girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think she's in. I think she's in 187.
Oh, I don't.
Samuel L. Jackson.
I don't remember her in that, but
dead girlfriend. That's who she is. She dies.
That's true.
He's got angst, man.
I think Patsy Kensit might be the one that he ends up with in Lethal Weapon 2.
Maybe you're
right. But yeah, I know you're talking. I know you're talking about because she's pretty.
Angels and Insects about
It's got
incest.
Donald Logue in it too.
Oh.
187. Could be Kelly Rowan who you're talking about.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah. He had a long career, but Bridge of Spies is one of those movies. By the end of it, you're like, yeah, I saw something pretty good there, but you're expecting a lot more, I guess. Maybe that's not fair. We watch a Spielberg movie written by the Coen brothers. We're expecting something just mind blowing, but I mean, it's got a couple of tense scenes in it. It's good, and
you also know the outcome of this one too, right?
Yeah. But the I think the main drama is concerns the Berlin Wall and trying to get him in and out of it, and it's an exchange. It's a prisoner exchange because they have somebody. The other side has somebody that they need, and they get him, and he's a guy who's like he's like a math guy or something like that who's solved something. I don't remember the whole thing, but. Yeah, it's a prisoner exchange movie, but it was good. I liked it. Ithaca. Don't know this movie. Meg Ryan directed it.
I'm familiar with this movie.
It's the one where Tom Hanks stands up in the courtroom and yells, "Ithaca!
Ithaca!" Yeah. I remember this.
No, it is interesting. Meg Ryan directed this. I think she's directed at least one other movie. But he plays a small part in this. I never saw it, but I'm aware of it. It's a boy after the war, after I think World War II, that wants to be the fastest bike messenger in Ithaca, and he plays a dad or something like that.
Okay.
Ithaca.
I did not see a hologram for the king either.
Dude, I think this is like a Saudi Arabian movie that I don't even know if it came out here. It's a very Saudi cast.
Does Tom Hanks play the hologram?
He is the star in this. Like it's like featuring him. But like all the other, he goes to Saudi Arabia to do something, and it's populated with a lot of Saudi actors, and I don't know if it came out in America. It's wide release.
Not sure. Then we have Sully. Clint Eastwood directed this one. This movie makes me a little frightened about the Richard Jewell movie that's coming out.
Yeah.
Because none of this shit happened in Sully.
A lot of it is... not there.
The whole thing, well, like obviously the thing that happens where, Sullivan's the guy who had trouble with his plane. He landed it into the Hudson River and made a safe water landing, and he was considered a hero for however long that news cycle lasted. And this movie makes it seem like everybody thought he was a hero, but there was a court case with the AVA and everybody, and they wanted to know why he felt like it was needed to land his plane in the water when he could have done all these other things. That
Teterboro could have gone to Teterboro.
Yeah, he could have gone to Teterboro. None of that shit happened. Now, I guess it makes it a compelling movie to have this story you never heard because it didn't exist. In it, because it does show you the kind of wrong thinking that you can have when you're like, why did he do this? It makes no sense if like all these people like in a simulator can get back to the airport, then why did he have to land in the water? And the movie, he finally gets to say something at the end. I don't think they're going to let him say something for the longest time, and then he finally gets his chance. And he says, everybody going into these simulators knows exactly what's going to happen as soon as they go up into the thing, and they know, and they've got everything mapped out for them as soon as they get in there. That's the reason why they're able to get back to the airport. Now, just imagine if you didn't know this detail and this detail and this detail and see what you're able to do. And of course, there's a big, huge thing where he's talking about that, and they do the simulators, and none of the people in the simulators can actually get back to the airport at that point. And that's where he's like, okay, well, let's reaffirm that he's a hero after all. And then there's like a whole like real Sully at the end talking to all the people, and
Jesus,
and I don't know what to think of this movie.
Yeah, what's the point of it?
I did not like it.
You didn't like it?
The Hanks was fine. There's no reason to make this movie.
I know.
It's just, and it's why Eastwood. Maybe this Richard Jewell will be different. The trailer was great.
Yeah, I mean,
Trailer's
I
great.
want to see it.
Yep.
It's just that I understand you want to make a movie about Sully. The problem is that flight lasted, 30 minutes?
Yep.
Something like that?
Not even that. Like, it was like a minute and a half, right? They took off from LaGuardia.
Well, yeah, and then the aftermath and the landing and the getting off.
Yeah,
and
like
all that stuff.
all the stuff that happened is not a movie length.
Right.
However you look at it. And so you have to add these things, right? And I think he turns it's an hour and a half, but it feels like 3 hours or something like that because it's yes, like of course he's a hero.
It's like watching C-SPAN.
Yeah.
And by the way, they make you wait. They make you beg for that actual shot of the plane going in the water.
Yeah.
Like they show the plane in flight and the quote unquote event like 3 fucking times before the last time when you finally actually get to see the action scene of him landing the plane in the water.
Yep.
It took forever to blow its load.
It did.
Those are the best loads.
That's true. The ones that take a long time. Yeah. It's like in Booty Call where Jamie Foxx is like banging Vivica Fox at the end of it, and he blows his load too soon, and he's like, I've been holding on to that one all day.
Wow. We went from Sully to Booty Call.
We did.
Hey, you want another Friends reference? Okay. There's an episode where Joey needs money. He's out of work, so he goes to see if there's any fluids he can sell.
Yeah.
And the lady goes, we don't have any studies right now for that. He goes, damn, I've been kind of saving up.
No. We briefly mentioned Inferno during the Da Vinci Code. I didn't see this one, though.
It is worse than the other two.
Okay.
The source material is worse. This is taking the incredulity of the other stories and taking it up like several notches. Mm-hmm. It's a ridiculous story.
Did Howard do this one too?
I think so. Yeah, he did this one.
So he's worked with Howard 5 times at least. But yeah, I didn't see it.
It grossed $220 million. So I mean,
worldwide.
Yeah, and I think though, Dan Brown has another book, another big bestseller that came out a couple of years ago. So I'm sure they'll get back on the horse for it.
Yep. I never saw this. We did preview it in one of our spring previews, The Circle, which was the sort of the Apple movie, what everybody was calling it. You saw this.
I did.
Tell us about it.
I kind of like it.
Kind of like it?
I kind of like it.
Is it good? Is it as good as The Internship?
Please tell me it's as good as The Internship.
I mean, the story. You're going to guess the story, every little beat of it. But Emma Watson is really good. Attack the Block. It's John Boyega. He's really good in it. Hanks is like a nice, like Tim Cook, Steve Jobs-ish tech leader and all that stuff. There's a good cast in here, and it moves along at a good pace. It's a fun story.
I have to watch this bullshit.
Panned. I mean, everybody hated this movie, and you predicted it was going to be shitty, and it's not good. But I think it's
all right. I still might not ever watch it.
All right.
Okay.
The David S. Pumpkins Halloween special.
Okay.
Yeah. So Hanks had a weird little renaissance there where he was on Saturday Night Live and he plays this David S. Pumpkins character who appears on every floor of an elevator, like during a haunted house.
Yeah.
Haunted house. This couple is like going up these floors, and every door opens. It seems like the David S. Pumpkins character is there, and Hanks is playing this. This is he evil? Is he
the whole issue? The whole joke is what the fuck?
Yeah.
And so when they did a fucking special, an animated special on, I think it was NBC probably. I watched this. And it was awful. It's like giving Michael Myers a backstory.
Good? Wasn't it animated?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I've watched the David S. Pumpkins skit regularly because it's just Bobby Moynihan and the other guy is just like
yeah. And he's like, any questions? And then the big reveal by the end of it, because he keeps showing up at every floor, and then by the end of it they're like, oh, David S. Pumpkins isn't on this one, and then he shows up in the elevator and pops out.
Any questions?
Yeah.
And it's a hilarious bit. It's a hilarious bit. So they don't need to do
make a whole
else
thing out of it. And then we have The Post, A fifth collaboration with Spielberg.
They're starting to get less and less essential.
This is the story of the Pentagon Papers. Hanks plays Jason Robards. He plays Ben Bradley in this, and Meryl Streep plays the owner of the paper. And again, it's the whole like, do we publish this? Do we not? Story. The how they got it is sort of illegal. How they got those things. Bob Odenkirk's great in this, though.
Yes, he is. The rest of it is a big goddamn yawn.
Yeah, everything else is like, yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it.
No, it's okay. I would have liked it if you showed it to me when I was in school. It was better than the movies they showed me in school.
That's true. Yeah.
And it has a historical context.
Yep.
But no, did not like.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can actually report on A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood since I've seen that movie. It's good.
Yeah.
He plays it. It's an interesting thing. Well, and there'll be a mini pod of this before this one post. But it's not about Fred Rogers. Not really.
It's about the guy interviewing
It's about the guy. It's about the Matthew Rhys character who's in it, who plays the writer for Esquire, and how he's got problems with his dad, played by Chris Cooper.
I didn't know what that could be.
Yeah,
like the shift, ground shifted.
His dad left early, left him with his sick mom, cheated on his mom,
collected all the Nazi plates.
Did you say
it's Chris Cooper?
Beat up Wes Bentley.
Just wanted to show my girlfriend your Nazi plate.
Got on the stand in the Carly Haley trial. But
runs Treadstone.
Yeah, runs Treadstone, collects magnolias or whatever the fuck it is, and adaptation. Orchids.
When was the last time you saw Adaptation?
A couple years ago.
That movie ends bonkers as fuck.
Yeah,
yes,
it does.
Like people getting shot out in the middle of the bayou.
Yeah.
I forgot how nuts the ending of that movie was.
Yeah.
Good.
I just put myself in my screenplay. It's kind of weird, isn't it? Adaptation's great. But it's really good. I think he plays Fred Rogers really, really, really well in this. At first, you're going to be like, that's just an impression, but it really does just feel like that's how Mr. Rogers was. There were some things about it that I wish they had explored more, because there's some points where they're talking about how he has shown anger in the past. His wife talks about this, and I'm like, and he just goes through things to get him out of it and everything. And I was like, it'd be really nice to see Mr. Rogers like actually angry. I don't need to see him like in a boozy alcoholic fit or anything like that.
I do.
Oh yeah. I just wanted to see what it was like, see him angry and then see what he did to sort of calm himself down and everything. And there's just tiny allusions to like, this is something that happened. My sons my son didn't want to acknowledge me for a while and all this other stuff. Like, it'd be kind of cool to explore that, but then it becomes your typical biopic at that point, and that's not the movie that they're making.
So it's good.
It's really good.
Okay.
I gave it a B+. Jonathan gave it an A. I don't know if it's essential viewing, but it's good.
I'll tell you, this
like
story that I've seen going around the last 24 hours is pissing me off. Where it's like, apparently Tom Hanks has just discovered in the lead up to this movie's release that he's actually related to Mr. Rogers.
Oh yeah, he's like he's like sixth
There's
cousin.
Sixth cousins. Now, first of all, this shit you knew. You did not just find this shit out a week before this movie came out. You saved that information as some kind of a story you could tell on Ellen, and it's annoying. Second of all, sixth cousins? I'm more related to you than sixth cousins are to each other. That's nothing to crow. I'm probably fifth cousins with Mr. Rogers. Bitch. There's nothing in common there anymore. Get out of here with that shit. It's like my wife likes to watch those ancestry shows where, can find out, didn't Ben Affleck find out his parents
I know what you're talking about.
His ancestors owned slaves or something and had to reconcile.
That would be so
if his parents owned slaves in fucking Boston, that would have been rough.
Fucking Boston, man.
Damn. What would be the PR from that?
But my mom likes these shows too, and so my mom went down this genealogy rabbit hole, and was telling me a couple Christmases ago that we're like 13th cousins removed from Alec Baldwin or whatever. And I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
We're all related if you go back that far.
Can I show up to his doorstep and he gives me money or something?
No. If not, then we're not related.
Alec. Yeah. All right, guys, it is time to talk about BetterHelp.
Yes. BetterHelp.
Yeah.
I've talked a lot about this. We've talked a lot about this service, about it being super easy to access and everything, to sign up for and to manage and everything. And that is extremely important. What I always leave out is the whole searching for help, realizing that you need help. Because I think that's a important step that not a lot of people can really come to terms with unless there's a crisis happening, right? You hear it all the time. I didn't even realize I was depressed for a year or so until I finally did talk to somebody, and they were like, oh, well, that's the classic sign of depression, something like that. Or anxiety. I thought I was worrying too much, but, it's anxiety. And there's this fine line of what's overdiagnosing versus what is an actual problem that you need to address. And I think if you're even thinking about that line, it's probably worth examining, and it's probably worth examining with a professional. Not to put you on the spot if you don't want to do this.
Oh,
but
I love the spot. Hit me.
When did you realize that you probably need to start looking into professional help?
Oh, for me, it was literally a chest thumping at night.
Oh, yeah?
And I felt like I had a heart issue. I felt like I was going to have a heart attack. And it happened 4 nights in a row. And I finally went to just my regular medical doctor, and she started asking questions. And she was like, yeah, you have anxiety. And so she prescribed a drug I'm not on anymore. But I took it the first night, and then laying in bed that night, my chest starts thumping again. So I call the doctor, and I leave a message saying, it's not working. And they call me back the next day, and they were like, oh, it takes a few days to get into your system. It'll be fine. And then it did. But for me, it manifested physically. And then once I got into therapy and started taking that drug, I could look back over the prior 5-10 years and see all sorts of things that should have been red flags about anxiety that I just ignored.
Yeah. I mean, it's so easy because you're going along your regular day, right?
Yeah.
And, I don't realize that I've been sitting on the couch for, 11 hours straight or something like that.
Yeah.
Or that I haven't bathed in 3 days or something like that. Or that I'm not sleeping well because maybe my mind is racing, things like that. And so it's very important to kind of be honest with yourself, to kind of do a mental checklist. If you do start feeling like maybe you need to get some help, go to betterhelp.com/SinCast, okay? And you get a special offer through that. Go to that URL and you can literally see get started. You go through a few questionnaires, stuff like that, background, forces you to think about some things. And then they match you up with a counselor, and you're off and running. You have your own counseling room where you can make appointments, you can message, you can do, quote, homework, little things that your counselor may say, this is something that I would recommend that you work on. It cannot be easier. So go to betterhelp.com/SinCast. You get 10% off your first month, which is not nothing. Let them know if you're having any financial issues. Go to betterhelp.com. Take that first step if you feel like you need it. And it's just a fantastic service that we can't stop talking about. Can't stop. Won't stop.
We love it. Do it.
That rounds out his movie career. Of course, he had some TV shows, mostly known for Bosom Buddies. Now, I never saw Bosom Buddies.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Isn't that the one where they pretend to be gay?
Well, no, they pretend to be women. Yeah.
Oh, so they pretend to be women.
Yes.
Okay.
To get a discount on their rent or something like that. Do you remember the conceit of this, Jeremy?
Of which one? Bosom Buddies?
Yeah.
No, I never watched.
It's either for work or for their apartment or something like that. They have to be
it's
women.
like an all-girls building or something.
Right, it's something like that. And they have to, I'm sure it's incredibly dated at this point with the humor
it's
and the references. And
Amanda... whatever movie.
One of the boys.
Hug and Kiss?
One of the boys. You knew exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah, I saw that movie.
I didn't see
where
it.
she poses as she's trying to get on the soccer team.
Yeah, is she naked in that movie?
Huh?
She naked in that movie?
No.
One of the boys?
Oh, in the 80s movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a new one.
There's Amanda Bynes one
Amanda
that came out.
Bynes.
That came out 15 years ago, and she does the same thing. But yes, just one of the boys, the 80s movie. Yes, there is nudity in that.
Oh, and I thought her name was Amanda something too. I forget who it was.
I have to look that up. But yeah, it was at the Bosom Buddies was Peter Scolari was the other guy that was on.
Peter Scolari, is that the one that ended up being Bible Man, Jeremy?
No, maybe. Yes. No. There has been more than one Bible man, just for the record.
Weren't you on an episode?
I was. Well, they're movies, Barrett. That's not a TV show. And I was in one. Yes.
It's Willie Ames, the Charles in Charge guy, is Bible Man.
But not anymore. He stopped.
The Amanda Bynes movie was called
me.
She's the Man.
She's the man. She's the man. She's the man. She's the man. She's the man.
Just one of the guys. It was Joyce Heiser who played Terry Griffith.
So what you're telling me is that woman was naked.
Yes.
All right.
It's actually not a bad movie.
No, it's a pretty good movie.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing this on cable at one point. But yeah, then he's in a lot of other stuff. I guess he's just guest starring, or he's got a cameo or something. The Love Boat he was on. Taxi he was on. Happy Days, of course. There's the Ron Howard connection there.
But yeah, the comment that I was making is essentially he's the Forrest Gump of like TV.
Yeah,
because all these Taxi was huge, Happy Days was huge, Bosom Buddies for the time was huge, Love Boat was huge,
and Tales from the Crypt, and he's been Saturday Night Live at least 10 times probably.
Yeah.
There was a thing back when I believe it was Hanks when he did his 5th. That's when they started doing that 5-member club.
Yeah, and
thing.
they just did it again this recently with Will Ferrell.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. He's the ones that I think of on SNL are the David S. Pumpkins, and then when he introduces Aerosmith at Wayne's World.
Oh,
he's the roadie. He's like sibilance.
Classic.
Yeah.
And everybody that gets on a mic when he asks for a check, like a vocal check, they'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sibilance.
Yeah.
Did you see Will Ferrell's interview on one of those night shows where he was talking about he bumped into Christopher Walken recently, and Christopher Walken's pissed at him?
Yeah.
Because people won't stop making cowbell jokes every time they say Christopher Walken, and he blames Will Ferrell for it.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't even get a meal without the waitress asking me if I need more cowbell.
Oh, God.
He said he ruined his life.
There's another classic Hanks Saturday Night Live where he's a part of this family, and like everything that one of the family members experiences, everybody has to experience it. So like they're like, this cereal is terrible, and everybody has to enjoy everybody has to eat the cereal, and then it like gets progressively worse, and then finally he like somebody runs down to the basement and trips over a board, and they're like, hey, there's a board here that trips you up and makes you fall down, and everybody has to go in and you want to do some questions?
Yes, I do.
Question. I got something to say. I want the truth.
I'm listening.
I want the truth.
We have excellent questions
I
coming
probably
at
should
you.
have prepared some answers.
One of which I'm not even aware of. In fact, let's start with that one. Hey, Sin Squad. Question for the podcast. It's always interesting when you guys take a sin off of the sin count. This is obviously the videos. I was wondering about the details of it. Who came up with the idea? Who writes the most sins off? I actually do know that.
I know that one.
Have you ever rejected any sin offs
Yes.
before?
Yes.
Well, let's start with the beginning. So how did this come about?
You started it.
Yeah, the first one I believe is The Gray.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, what a weird video to start.
Yeah, it's mainly just because there was a moment in the movie that I found, just for some reason, because of the way Liam Neeson says this and because it's just so forceful and everything, I was just like, man, I want to write something about this, but I feel like it's too good to send it.
Yeah.
And so like there's a part where a guy that I think it's the Frank Grillo character like wants to steal a wallet or something. He wants to take one of the dead people's wallet. And Liam Neeson is like, he's like, you're going to put that wallet back down or I'm going to beat you to death over a fucking billfold. and so like, I wrote in that thing and I think I actually went back into some emails and found The Gray. I don't know if it was for sure the first one, but I was looking at some what we were saying about it and everything, and like we weren't even calling it sin removal. We were like, we're that one where we take the sin back is what we were calling it. So it had to have been at least new enough to we didn't have a name for it at the time. So yeah, I believe it was The Gray. I believe it was that line. And then it started growing out to anything else that was like just something that hit you in a certain way. And, I don't after that, I don't know what the second one was or the third one, but I do remember the gray being there.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm kind of a hawk on these. Like, I'm probably more often than either of you, like, will cut one or reject one. Just because I don't want to be too liberal with them.
Yeah.
Like I get the idea that the point is to show we're just joking. We're not. We even some of the sin removal say we're not made of stone. This is a good section. Yada yada. But I don't want to go too far with it. Not every movie should get a sin removal.
That's true.
And there have been some in recent movies that have been written by others that I have cut.
Oh yeah,
because I did not want them in this movie. Some movies do not deserve any sins off.
I agree.
Some do not. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I agree.
I have cut several.
I'm sorry.
I have cut several. There's also been times where someone will write a sin about something, and then someone will write a removal on the same thing.
Yeah.
And this is a case of where you kept the removal, and I wrote the sin about it. It was in. Which one is it where they go back and they try to talk to Hugh Jackman and he just says, go fuck yourselves?
That's First Class.
It's First Class.
Yeah.
So I wrote something about that. I had to go a long way to get to that sin. But you wrote a removal, and like when I got it back, I didn't even have a choice. It was a removal. And so there are times where you get that. But yes, there have been a few times where I've read people's scripts that I'm not a part of, and I'm like, seriously, guys, we're gonna pull a sin off for that?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it is a feeling just every once in a while where you'll catch yourself because you're in sin mode when you're writing these things. You're totally in sin mode. You're the nitpicking asshole, and then every once in a while something will just like hit you out of nowhere, make you laugh or smile or something like that.
The best one for me
goddamn,
was Inside Out. When I'm writing sins for this movie, I had never seen it, and we get to that part at the end where the brain goes, boy, girl, and I laughed out loud, and it was so genuine. I pulled out my mic and just tried to keep laughing long enough. And something that really makes me laugh, it'll make me laugh, off and on for several minutes. And so the laughter in that sins video is completely genuine.
Oh, that's
because I recorded that laugh 2 weeks before the script was locked and we recorded the narration. I just wanted to capture that. That's the only time I've ever done that.
Wow. Do you ever start off writing a sin and it turns into a removal?
Oh, yes.
Or vice versa?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, that's happened to me a few times.
Yeah. Well, and then there was the Pulp Fiction script, which you guys wrote, which probably would have been one we could have gotten away with.
Yeah.
Too many removals, but that was my main feedback was I think we need to trim some of these removals back. Or here where we took off 10 sins, maybe let's only take off 5.
Well, and I think at that point we had already trimmed a few removals.
We had already trimmed removals from
I'm sure you had. Yeah.
But Jeremy goes to narrate that. I think you're in almost narration phase, and you're like, I think some of these might be too much or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I can see that. So I think we knocked down some that we took 3 or 4 off, and then I think we did a wholesale removal of like a removal of the removal like twice in that script from what he was saying, and then ended up having still a good amount.
So still a good 18-20 cents taken off that fucker. Probably as many as we've ever done. And except for those occasions where we're like 100 cents off or whatever and just multiply it for craziness.
There was a time where Kevin Smith wanted to remove 100 sins from the Star Wars.
Oh, seriously?
That's right.
Yeah, that was So we wrote the script for Kevin with some moments for Kevin Smith to do his narration on. He brought it back, and again, I stress, I love the Kevin Smith narration. I don't care what a lot of you fuckers say. And he came back with his own interpretation of everything we wrote. So that's why there's like when he comes on, it's Kevin Smith basically doing, he can't stop talking. And he said something about like I can't remember which scene it was, but he's like I'm going to take out 100 cents for this and whatever. And I was like, no, we're not doing that.
No, Kevin. You want to do another one?
Sure.
Oh, I like this one a lot. I think the movie Us is a brilliant film. It's a word I never use to describe a movie. So for you guys, what movie falls under this category? Brilliant.
Yeah, I guess you have to classify is this different from anything else that you think is a masterpiece, or is it good, or whatever? I tend to fall along the lines of where this question is going, though, where you take a concept, a high concept like Us, and you're able to execute it great, execute it in a good way. The Matrix is one of those.
Yeah.
The Sixth Sense is one of those. But in the end, I just sort of listed a bunch of movies that I think are brilliant. Get Out,
Yeah.
City of God, Children of Men, The Prestige, Interstellar. I could put Inception in there. I could put nearly almost every Nolan movie in there.
Yeah.
Those movies are ones that I left the theater just going, God, how do you do a movie like that?
Yeah. Especially something like Children of Men, where like personally that movie is so tense that you just you walk out and you're still clenched up. Like as soon as you relax, you notice how tense everything has been. That's a good call on all this.
By the way, it's funny. I was looking for some movie on one of the other questions that we have on here, and I went back to the old movie review site and looked at some of the stuff, and I have a review for Children of Men in there. And of course, I'm like, oh, it's awesome and everything. And one of the few ones that actually got a comment on it, you wrote a comment. And you were like, all I'm seeing about this is rave, rave, rave. I'm going to have to see this movie sometime.
That's hilarious. Wow. What do you think?
Well, The Prestige is the perfect answer, because I've seen that movie maybe 20, 25 times at this point, and I've said this before on the podcast. Every time I watch it, my mind is reblown that they could even make it.
Yeah.
Because it's so fucking out of order.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, they must have written it linearly. I know they didn't. That's why it blows my mind. But it feels like they had to have written it in order and then chopped it into a bunch of pieces and scattered them around. But I guarantee you Nolan planned it all, because he does the same kind of trick in Dunkirk with the time and the cutting back with the different times. And I just think he works on another level. Prestige fascinates me because you can pick it up and think, oh, this is 2/3 of the way in, but it's actually in the first 5 minutes because of the way it keeps jumping around. I was also going to say Ex Machina is the kind of film that blew my mind when I saw it. Gone Baby Gone, anything that makes me think for days and days or longer, I would probably consider brilliant. Roma. But yeah, it all depends on how you choose to define brilliant, which is going to be a little different for every person. The Prestige is brilliant on like a logical puzzle kind of level, whereas Roma's brilliant more on like for me, on a visual beauty level and
emotional,
thematic symbolism kind of level. But I do love the question because everybody has a different definition of brilliant. We get so many different answers.
Yeah, I think I've rewatched Arrival like a million times at this point because I get something new out of it. The guy Villeneuve and his writers just solved something. He made the time construct, the time travel, make sense from any angle. At least for me, I've got a limited amount of brain to take it in. But any angle that I look at it, it makes perfect fucking sense. And to have that as just an aspect of this whole story, and really like the emotional whammy and how that ties back into it, and the visuals with the heptapods and all that stuff, and the Forrest Whitakers, like it's every box. Parasite, is a movie that we just saw recently. Chris and I did. I think that transcends a normal film. That's a film that I walked out of thinking, I don't think I've seen something like this before, and it's going to be hard to replicate, because every time you think you got this movie figured out, there's something different. There's a new angle that's happening, and it's all enjoyable and fantastic. The performances are great. The camera work is terrific. The themes are terrific. This movie is definitely brilliant. It's the most brilliant movie I've seen this year.
Yeah, definitely up there for me.
You think the same thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie, goddamn. And the performances are so fucking good.
Very few movies this year are going to beat that.
You got to, yes.
I'm dying to see it.
I gotta
see Knives Out. I hate going to the Belcourt. It's like going to Green Hills now, which feels like I'm going to get stuck in some kind of societal molasses.
Well, you are that. You are going to get stuck in societal molasses.
I won't be able to get out.
Well, you're going to have to like
the closer you get to the heart of Green Hills or Hillsborough Village, the more everything slows down, and the longer it takes to get back out from the center of that place.
You can get in and out to the Belcourt pretty easily.
I'm exaggerating. It's not like I don't have a point.
What are some movies that you like from a director that may not be known for one genre, but branched out into something else that you end up liking better than what they're known for? A recent example is Joker, where Todd Phillips branched out from his usual comedy movies like The Hangover, Old School, to make a more dramatic character study.
Mm-hmm.
I'll start off because I've got an issue.
Okay.
Joker is the perfect example for this because it is Todd Phillips stepping out of his comfort zone or what we've defined as his comfort zone to make something different. I think that it's not a good example. No offense to the listener, but it's not a good example because I think he's the detriment to that movie. I think that movie could have been fantastic if it were done by a more capable director, and I say that he's certainly capable in Hangover and Old School and stuff like that, but a different director, a director that's more attuned to that sort of character study.
You know who's rich? Todd Phillips.
Yeah.
Because he took almost no money up front for Joker, and it's the same fucking deal he took for The Hangover, where he took a chunk of the earnings, and both movies went on to be mega hits. That dude's probably walking away with like $100 million from this movie.
Yeah, he's got literal fuck you money.
Yeah, he can make Jokers 2 through 8 if he wants, and he doesn't even need a studio.
And apparently he's going to. So my examples of a director doing something different, I'm going to briefly suckle at Kubrick's teat because I just watched Dr. Strangelove recently. Ooh. And the fact that even Stanley Kubrick, when he was younger, doing a fucking comedy, like a comedy, is pretty amazing because the guy was not known for his sense of humor at all. So that's perfect. But the one that I really want to do is Alfonso Cuarón's Gravity. Because that is on a different level. At this point, he's done Great Expectations. He's done Y Tu Mamá También. He's done Children of Men and all that stuff. But certainly nothing as technologically ambitious as something like this. I mean, they invented shit for this movie. This is like James Cameron and Robert Rodriguez type of territory, right? And so the fact that he nailed all the technical precisions in addition to a great story about flying space dust is awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
I've suckled at the teeth.
Yeah.
Teat suckler.
I'm going to go with Adam McKay. Who did Anchorman, and he did Step Brothers and the other guys, and then he goes and does The Big Short.
Yeah.
And that's a movie that if you told me that Adam McKay was going to direct a movie like this, I'd be like, no. This guy has done so many goofy comedies. What do you mean? And The Big Short is still a comedy, essentially. But to get all of that really complex information into this movie and make it entertaining and everything is a magic trick. And he does have this way about doing this stuff. It happens in Vice as well, and I know you guys don't like that, but he has this way of conveying this information that's different from any director that we've seen. And so he still has the sense of comedy and everything in this, but he also has the ability to keep it dramatic when it needs to be, and just an exciting movie. It's one of my favorite movies of the decade.
Yeah, the Decade.
And all the other things. I have 3 answers because 2 of them are movies we're probably never going to get. But for a good year or so, David Fincher was signed to direct World War Z 2, which is maybe the most intriguing director film pairing. It's a sequel.
Yeah.
It's a zombie movie. Fincher has never been anywhere near this kind of stuff, unless you count 7, which I don't.
Alien 3
maybe. But that's not going to happen. Apparently that's gone.
Is it really?
Bye.
Oh.
The other one that I don't think is going to happen that came close was Tarantino's Star Trek.
You're choosing movies that don't exist.
I have a real answer for this question. I just wanted to point out that these would have both been excellent departures had they gone through. The real answer I'm going to go with is Spike Lee's Inside Man, which feels much more like, Michael Mann movie than a typical Spike Lee movie.
Yep.
And it's fantastic. And so I end up wishing he would make more heist films and stuff like that. And
most of his movies were socially conscious. I don't even know if even the ones that you don't think are, or don't have the weighty importance of a Malcolm X or something like that, have some message that he's trying to go. The Inside Man is a straight up thriller.
Yep.
And it's an awesome movie.
Yeah, it is, man. I can get sucked into that one pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How many Star Treks are out there right now?
In development?
Yeah.
I think they've scrapped everything, and they're going to go with Hawley and the old cast. Noah Hawley.
Okay, so that's going to be because it was originally, I guess, J.J. Abrams, right?
Well,
or who did Beyond?
It was Justin Lin.
Justin Lin. So there was going to be that continuation. Then there was the Tarantino one. Now there's a Hawley one, but the Hawley one is the continuation of the series?
Well, yes and no. Originally, the continuation was going to bring back Chris Hemsworth, and they were going to do another time travel adventure where Pine and his dad, Hemsworth, could pal around together, which is a lovely idea. Hemsworth's one of the best things about any of those three Trek movies. But we've already kind of time traveled enough in this series.
Yes, we have.
And so I'm relieved if we don't go that direction. So what I think we're going to get is maybe not Hemsworth, because the reason that fell apart was money.
Right.
And they couldn't afford to pay everybody. I think Noah Hawley might be the right guy. I'm excited to see. I feel about the way I did a year ago with the Matt Reeves Batman thing, where I think the more I hear news about this over the next year, the more I'm going to be excited about this.
God damn, there's a lot of characters in that new Batman, though, man.
Oh, man, they just cast John Turturro.
I know. Well, he's playing Gordon, right?
Gordon is Jeffrey Wright.
Okay.
And Alfred is going to be Andy Serkis.
Right.
And Turturro is playing
Carmine Falcone.
Oh, Falcone.
Carmine Falcone, who was played by
Eric Roberts.
Yep.
No, he was the follow-up.
Oh, no. Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
The guy from Michael Clayton.
Yeah.
Anyway, it does sound like too many characters, because we've got a Penguin, we've got a Catwoman, but the approach seems to be like there is a crime that Batman is trying to investigate and detective his ass off, and there's also kind of a rogues gallery escape of some kind of. So I think there's a bunch of bad guys out amongst Gotham, and Batman has to determine, was Penguin involved with this crime or not? Was Catwoman involved with this crime or not? So they may not be like in the whole movie.
Okay.
They may only have you ever played any of the Arkham games?
No.
So they're fun as fuck because you get to fight like Batman and swing and fly and float, but you also get to get in the Batmobile and whatnot. But almost every one of those games is essentially the same. Arkham has been breached. Everybody's out on the streets. Batman go round them up one at a time. And so you fight all of Riddler's henchmen, and then the big boss of that battle is Riddler, and then you've locked Riddler back up, and now you go after Penguin, and of course Joker's always behind all of it for the most part. So I think it's going to kind of take some cues from those games.
All right.
But I'm
anytime I see just too many characters, it's like,
yeah. Well, of course. Remember when Knives Out was getting cast? It was literally every other day a famous person was, so-and-so is signed on for Knives Out, to where people started making jokes. Who's not in Knives Out? And, apparently that turned out okay. So
Tom Wilkinson.
Tom Wilkinson.
There you go. I would love for y'all to do an episode about your favorite movie quotes. In Caddyshack, Lacey with Ty is at his house, and she says, here's an uncashed check for $70,000, and Chevy Chase says, keep it. So, an example of one of our listeners' favorite lines, movie quotes. What do you guys think?
I wrote down 3, and this is not nearly the comprehensive list that I could come up with. But Airplane, We Have Clearance, Roger, that's what's our Victor, is one of my favorites. The Prestige has that thing at the end. Now you're looking for the secret, but you won't find it because, of course, you're not really looking. You don't want to work it out. You want to be fooled. And then this is the random one that came to me. This is not a greatest line of all time, but it's so funny how Clancy Brown says this in Shawshank Redemption. Yeah, I don't need anybody to tell me where the bear shit in the buckwheat.
He's got a lot of great quotes in there.
He's got a lot of
I swear to God and Sonny Jesus.
Yeah. You're that smart wife killing banker. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Well, I quote. See, I can't give you best favorite quotes, just quotes that I quote the most. They become my favorite because of repetition. So I always quote the end of Finding Nemo when I'm driving with my wife and a street light fucks me over. And I say, that's the shortest red light I've ever seen, when they're trying to cross the road. And then I love White Christmas quotes. We watch that every year. And there's a zinger in there where, because they're making fun of each other, and one of them's trying to find a date for the other one. Bing Crosby's trying, or
Danny Kaye?
Danny Kaye's trying to get Bing Crosby to date more, so that he can date more and settle down and have kids, and yada yada. And one of them zings the other one, and he says, "Well, when what's left of you gets around to what's left to be gotten, what's left to be gotten won't be worth getting whatever it is you've got left." and the other one goes, "When I figure out what that means, I'll come up with a crushing reply because it means nothing." But I like to quote that all the time.
Nice. I've got some random ones just from ones that I've seen recently, and one of the best scenes in Inside Llewyn Davis is the studio scene with Oscar Isaac, Justin Timberlake, and Adam Driver. And they're going through the "Please, Mr. Kennedy." They're like, "Please, Mr. Kennedy, I don't want to go to outer space." And as they're like working through, Justin Timberlake and Oscar Isaac, as they're walking through the song, Adam Driver's in the side of the room going, "Shoot, shoot." Because his part is like this weird, like kind of sound effects and shit like that. And there's a part where they're doing their thing. He's going, "Shoot." And then all of a sudden, like, Oscar Isaac just looks up like, "Fuck is with that guy?" Just acknowledges him. Anyway, so that's a funny line. The another one that I've seen recently was The Other Guys, actually. The Other Guys has some of the funniest jokes per minute of any Adam McKay movie ever. Mark Wahlberg, I don't think, has ever been better in a comedic role as this. He goes up to his girlfriend. He's his girlfriend and him just broke up, or they're on the outs. And he goes up to her, and he's like, "I love you, Francine. If you were with me, you wouldn't be in the strip club shaking it for dollar bills." In the context, she's in a ballet studio, like in mid dance. Fucking great. And then the movie Clue is endlessly quotable, but one of the ones that I love a lot is it's Mrs. White. She's talking about her dead husband and everything. She's like, "He threatened to kill me in public." And then Miss Scarlett's like, "Why would he kill you in public?" And then Wadsworth comes in. He's like, "I think she means he threatened in public to kill her." Just such a smart thing. They're thrown away. It's fucking hilarious. So those are just they're not best of all time. We've all heard those, but
I mean, I don't think this question we should go with the like stuff we've like AFI's top 100 or anything like that. It was really just like we could do this question literally every week, and it would be like, oh, some new shit that I thought of. Well, that'll do it for this episode. Keep going to SinCast, presented by Cinemasins on Facebook. We have a Cinemasins Twitter, a Music Video Sins Twitter. We're on Reddit. We're on SoundCloud. If you want to get on Discord, we're on Discord. You have a link on the Reddit page on the right side somewhere. And you can also ask me for one on the Facebook page through the private messages. I will give you an invite to that. And just tell us what you thought about this episode.
I was noodling around Discord the other day. That's pretty cool. That's a cool little area. I'm getting used to Discord and Slack and those kind of like vertical things. I swear to God,
they're the same exact thing.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, as far as Discord, I think it's worked out. I think the fans really like having that place to interact, and even if I'm not on it a bunch, I think that was a good move.
Yeah, and you get VIP access if you're a member of our Patreon. You do. So sign up for the Patreon, and you can, Danae and Aaron and Jonathan and sometimes Chris, sometimes me, sometimes Jeremy. Like we're mixing it up in that Discord thing. So you want to be a part of that? Join the Patreon.
Yeah, and if you want answers back from us, it's very helpful to actually tag us in your comment. Because then we'll know that, hey, there's something directly relating to us. I know that sometimes we don't get to everything, but that's just the nature of the beast, unfortunately. Anyway, that'll do it for this week. It's Chris Atkins and Jeremy Scott and Barrett Sher. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Comment on our episodes on our SoundCloud page. Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. And be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
I rarely do this, and I hate that I rarely do this, but I found myself singing along at top volume to Garth Brooks's Friends in Low Places on the way over here.
It happens.
But I felt so good after doing it. Like, just top of the lungs, like, I got friends.
The best way to do it is in a bar after everybody's had 2 beers, and that's the best feeling ever.
Have you ever done karaoke to Friends in Low Places?
Not that song. No. but I've done lots of karaoke.
What is your karaoke go to?
Well, I haven't done it in 20 years since just out of college, but my go-tos were I had an eclectic taste. Some Wallflowers.
One Head or 6th Avenue Heartache?
Yeah. I love doing Footloose. I love doing
Footloose.
I love doing Billy Joel. She's Always a Woman to Me.
You have weird. That's
I'm telling
interesting.
you, I got some weird karaoke tastes.
So you didn't do Piano Man. You did Always a Woman.
I like the more melodic Billy Joel. If I had been sober, I might have tried, We Didn't Start the Fire.
What's more melodic than Piano Man, though?
Well, the other problem is Piano Man's too cliche. I was a college student, man. I had to swim against the
Always
grain.
a woman.
She's always a woman to me.
Mine was always Prince's Pussy Control.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and motherfucking girls.
I had a friend, Dustin, great voice. Should have been a singer, but ended up a youth pastor, I think. And
Close enough.
he would do Killing Me Softly.
Ooh, the
Fugees.
Roberta Flack version?
No, the Fugees. And then I would come stand next to him.
You do the Wyclef?
I don't know. I would do the harmonies.
Oh, you didn't
So,
do the one time.
No. But when she does that breakdown, whoa,
Yeah.
I would come on and do either the tenor or the baritone, whatever the line was, and we would harmonize together.
Oh man, I was because I was like the rock guy in high school and everything when the Fugees was popular.
Yeah,
I had some Fuji hate. I was like, that's bullshit. But then it's stupid because what was the Fugees album? The main one. You know what I'm talking
two
about?
Fuji for you.
Was it the score?
The score.
Close enough.
Of course, Miseducation of Lauryn Hill came right after that in '98, I believe. And
and then they've never come back since.
I'll tell you what, I shat on that album, and I think I had merits because I hate that doo-wop, that thing song that was super popular from that album.
I don't remember that one.
Girls, you better watch out.
I actually didn't like that song, but I do remember it.
Yeah, I didn't like it, and I like it now just because of like the artistic like majesty that is her voice. But like that whole album is so spectacular. It's got my favorite song I think of that period, which is Everything Is Everything.
My favorite Lauryn Hill song is This Girl's on Fire.
Can't argue with that. Jay-Z, I swear to God, this is not hyperbolic. Jay-Z is the most overrated artist of our time. It's not even close. Wow. He's legitimately, and I've done my homework on this. I've listened to a lot of Jay-Z. He is legitimately just not good.
Is he just riding that one album everybody liked with the bitches?
Did you say with the bitches?
The 99 bitches.
99 problems and a bitch ain't one.
That's right. That's the one.
But that was the Black album, right?
That was the Black album. Somebody told him you need to slow down. You need to slow down.
You need to slow down.
And he did, and now it's got whatever he's got right now.
There's also, I think, been some speculation that once he became rich, a lot of the things that he's rapping about doesn't have the same honesty as it used to have. And so, like, I guess that's for a lot of these guys who were talking about, here's what used to happen when I was younger and it was terrible and everything. And then they get rich and they start trying to sing about the same things.
Yeah,
and it's like, yeah, but didn't I see you in like a Lamborghini?
I mean, it's like comedians, right? It's like, once you become a successful comedian, what are you going to tell jokes about? Mm-hmm. I went to Sears the other day.
Yeah.
You're not going to Sears.
Yeah.
Paying for
No,
jokes
man,
and
I haven't
shit.
been to Sears in ages.
You know what I did the other day?
What?
I was in the shower and a stand-up routine came to me.
Yeah?
Like a whole thing, like fully realized, at least in my head. Fully realized. I had like the jokes and the beats and everything like laid down. I wrote it down. I have a stand-up routine
There you
that
go.
I will never use.
Take it from me.
But I've got one.
Take it from me. If you ever get up in front of a live audience to do that routine, it will terrify you.
Every stand-up has that story of like
there's people who
failing the first several times. That they
There's
do.
that one time Seinfeld was doing stand-up and like Kramer came running in because he was buttered and smelled like turkey, and Newman was trying to eat him, and that he bombed. But he got back up and did it again.
Weirdly enough, wasn't that the episode where he was trying to bomb?
Because
He was taking a dive before Banya.
yes,
Yeah. Because he was like, who's ready to laugh? And he's like popping his suspenders and shit.
yes.
I'm throwing the set.
I just remember that maybe it was Banya's set that Kramer comes running into then, because the NBC executives come out and say, "I love stuff that you don't have to think about too much."
Yeah. That's right.
But Jim Carrey has come out and said he had multiple bombing sessions. I mean, all these guys. The question for you as a stand-up comic or a burgeoning stand-up comic is, can you deal with that night after night? Because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And there's going to be times where you write something down that is funny, and then when you go out and test it on an audience, it's not.
Yeah.
And you got to figure out, why isn't it funny? Why is it funny here, but it's not out there?
You know what would make your stand-up? No, I'm going to stop right there. I had a Louis C.K. bit I was going to go into, and I decided to beep, 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 back up out of that.
That's probably a good idea.
Did you watch the AMAs?
No. I was watching the
because
Packers
the
shit
Twitter
the bed.
says that Selena Gomez didn't sing very good, and I was curious what you thought.
I'm going to run through all the videos this afternoon.
Yeah,
She didn't. Oh, we were just talking about her. Out that new song is fantastic.
I love me to lose it. Man, I thought that last Miley song was going to be a boffo hit. That Slide Away, and it just came and went. That song was awesome.
It is a good song. Like all of her stuff has slid away.
Yeah.
I don't know what that song is.
It's
I probably heard
Once
it.
upon a time, it was made for us. Once upon a time.
I'm not sure if I heard that one.
You may not have. It may
Time to
not have
let it
even
go.
played on your thing.
Yeah, there were a couple of Miley songs that played on Epic Awesome, and one was the one, My Mother's Daughter.
That was a terrible song. I didn't like that song.
Must be something in the water, or that I'm a mother's daughter.
And then there was another one, I think, that they played on there.
All
But I
the
don't think it was
boys and
that
all
one.
the girls are dying to FUCK me.
Yeah.
It may have been Nothing Breaks Like a Heart.
No, that's the other one.
That's, you know what that is? That's another fucking song. That's a Mark Ronson song.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like Uptown Funk is a fucking Mark Ronson song.
Mhm.
Who the fuck says, "Oh yeah, that's Mark Ronson"?
Yeah.
Who did that song.
Nobody.
I do like that "Nothing Breaks Like a Heart" song though. And that video, she flashes her butt cheeks in that video.
I'm feeling that standard greeting with friends of hers. They just drop trowel, admire each other, pull back up, and go to a movie.
Well, that's what Wayne Coyne from Flaming Lips used to say, because she was hanging out with them when she was having this kind of burgeoning hallucinatory type of thing. And Wayne Coyne was like, we were hanging out by the Hollywood sign. She just decided to strip naked and like climb up the Hollywood sign. He was like, that happens all the time. She's just naked all the time. I'm like, wow, takes away the specialness of it.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah. It
It really
does.
is, which is why I still prefer. That's the second joke I've abandoned inside of 5 minutes.
The one that he came back with his new album, the Nina Cried Power or whatever it was called, that was good too.
I liked that song. I even liked the second one after. I didn't like Take Me to Church either, but the Someone New came after that. I fall in love just a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
It was someone new. You don't like that? All right. That's all right.
It's all right.
It's okay. You like some crappy music too.
No, I don't. What crappy music do I like?
I'm not looking at your collection, but there's no way there's not some shit in there.
There's no shit in my collection.
I'll bet there is.
It is perfectly curated.
You got any Eagles?
I have Eagles Live.
Okay.
I have Eagles Live.
There you go.
Done.
There you go.
No.
End of story.
That Eagles Live is fine.
No.
Listen to Seven Bridges Road. You love Seven Bridges Road.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
I like 21 Bridges the movie. And I like the Bridges of Madison County, but I don't like 7 Bridges Road.
And the live version of Hotel California is fucking rad, too. That's the only Eagles that I have.
Disqualified.
Oh, come on.
Do you have any Geggy Ta? Do you have any Evan and Jaron?
Did you ever see that thing that I think it was Jimmy Kimmel used to go around to like something like Bonnaroo, and he would ask make up fake band names, and he would be like, "It's like I'm really looking forward to seeing like Evan and Jaron or whatever like that." And they'd be like, "Yeah, me too. We heard they're really awesome," and all that. People would just want to agree with you because you know.
Although the two I named were actually bands.
Yeah,
they were both. You don't remember Evan and Jaron?
I don't think so.
And you look at me, and I'm thinking about her constantly. I'm crazy for you. Remember that song?
It sounds familiar.
And then Geggy Ta, that was a real band. I think they were the ones that Geggy. They named their band because when they were little kids and friends, they couldn't say Greg and Todd, so it was always Geggy Ta.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're the ones that did the song. Thank you for letting me change lanes. All I want to do is to thank you, even though I don't know who you are. You let me change lanes while I was
You never heard this song?
I don't think so.
God, I heard this constantly.
Oh my God!
When was this?
This was
Whoever you
96, 97 maybe?
Whoever you are.
I don't think I heard that.
Let me look at
All
this
I
up.
want to do is to thank you, even though I don't know who you
Oh,
are.
I do. I've heard that song. Yes.
All right. You're just lying now.
I don't have it in my collection though.
See, there you
Yeah,
go.
Geggy
Because
Ta.
I don't have bullshit in my collection.
No, it sounds like, I mean, you got the Eagles.
96.
96.
96.
That's a good on the nose. You got it.
You remember when Fish showed up on The Simpsons that one time?
I do.
And the singer comes up and he's like, "We'd like to introduce everybody to a guy who's a real potheed. I mean, pothead. Pothead. That's what I meant."
Show me that smile again.
Ned Donnelly.
It's not Family Ties.
Yes, it is. Sometimes you want to go.
Family Ties is.
Didn't have any words. Look at the ties this family has. Look at how tied.